Welcome to Orientation to NASA Safety Culture. I'm Tracy Dillinger, Manager of the Safety Culture Program in the Office of Safety and Mission Assurance at NASA headquarters. Space exploration is a risky business. A healthy safety culture is vital at NASA. It's more than our best defense against mishaps. It's our pathway to mission success. We need everyone to understand and embrace these ideas and to ensure the safety of our workforce. This introduction includes employees across the agency. They have lived and breathed safety over the course of many missions. Their stories and insights demonstrate our NASA values, including how you are part of a robust safety culture. Let's start with what we mean by safety culture. At Glenn Research Center, a team of contractors and civil servants were recognized with a Group Safety Award for completing the Building 4 Meatball project. During project development, there was a lot of focus on fall protection. That effort paid off. An employee slipped but did not fall thanks to his protective gear.
Glenn was undergoing a little bit of a refresh, and so it was decided that the existing lettering on the roof was going to be replaced with the NASA Meatball. And the goal was to also have this completed in time for the June 2016 RNC in Cleveland. The existing fall protection system wasn't adequate, so we needed to upgrade to something that was designed by a professional engineer and certified, and something that our safety office was going to be comfortable with and that we were going to be comfortable with to keep reusing in the event that we had to go back up onto the roof or anything. A lot of the work that we did up front when writing the statement of work to put out the contract was to make sure that all that language was in there. And then throughout the course of the project, we made sure to have a significant conversation during the pre-construction meeting with the contractor to reinforce the importance of fall protection. And everyone was involved intimately from the very start all the way through to the end of the project to make sure that we had a system that was safe and that we were happy with, that was going to last for a reasonably long period of time. We did have one close call during the painting activities up there. There was a slip, but the fall protection system worked exactly how it was supposed to. And so we had really no injuries on the job, and everyone went home at the end of the day safely to their families, which is exactly what we needed.
The story you just heard captures what we mean by safety culture. It's the value an organization places on safety as demonstrated by people's behavior, the way safety is perceived, valued, and prioritized by the organization, and the commitment to safety at all levels of the organization. Basically, it's how an organization or person behaves when no one is watching.
I would define safety culture at NASA as it's a mindset. We try to encourage everyone to think in a mindset of having safety as part of the forefront, the beginning of the thought process towards doing any job. Typically when you do a job or a task, you think about how fast or maybe how cheap or how effective you can do it, but at the same time we like to encourage thinking about it from a safety aspect before you get to the later processes so that you save time later and you don't have to try and change your plans when you actually start doing the safety reviews and the detailed safety planning that has to come right before the task. And that way everything happens a little more efficiently and effectively in the long run.
At NASA, we want to create an environment where everyone works safely, feels comfortable reporting safety issues, learns from mistakes and successes, and feels confident taking on challenges because safety is always a priority. NASA safety culture is part of our DNA. Just like DNA is present in every one of our cells, NASA safety culture is embedded in all of our endeavors and at each project milestone. And just as DNA is made up of a few basic compounds, NASA safety culture is based on 5 core elements: reporting, just, flexible, learning, and engaged. In a strong reporting culture, everyone reports safety concerns, large or small, to their supervisor. There's an atmosphere of trust between leaders and employees. Employees know their concerns will be heard and acted on appropriately. At NASA, we encourage you to notice and report safety issues, whether in immediate danger or not. Be courageous. Speak up. You could save a life or protect a valuable asset.
It doesn't matter who you are, if you're an intern or if you've been with a team for 15 years or even if you're a supervisor or a division chief. Anybody who sees an unsafe act or condition happening or thinks that we're making the wrong call, if we're doing something wrong, we want you to feel empowered to stand up and report that because safety is our #1 priority. And we do want to always accomplish the mission, but we also want to accomplish that mission safely. And if that means you need to make a report and say that something's unsafe, and we may have to spend an extra week working that issue out, that's okay because that means we're going to get our crew back safe.
Our safety culture and our reporting culture had people a clinic first policy in place to where if you injured yourself at all, a nick, a splinter, or whatever, you went to the clinic first and you had folks see to you. Well, a lot of times folks didn't think that something was really worth going and reporting, but our culture was such that they did it anyway. And a lot of times, myself included, I'll be honest, I thought, wow, are we really reporting that? Yet we used that reporting culture to go back and look at the metrics that we had accumulated over time, and we saw this consistent trend of these hand injuries. And so when we looked at that, we said, well, what can we do about that? So our folks went out and they researched different hand protection, how we were doing our work, gloves, things like that. And they engaged the workforce, and the workforce participated in looking at how we might do things differently and looking at different hand protection. And so by making them part of finding a solution, we actually brought different sorts of gloves that were suited to our folks working in the shop or suited to our divers diving in the water. And as a result, through our metrics, we're able to see a very clear decline in the amount of hand injuries that we had. And I didn't expect that good an outcome, especially when I was skeptical about that reporting, but sometimes it's not intuitive. And if you use a good reporting culture the way it's intended to be used, you can have some very good outcomes.
If you have a safety concern, start by reporting it to your supervisor. If you're not happy with the way your safety concern is addressed at the center level, or if you fear negative repercussions, don't give up. Contact the NASA Safety Reporting System, or NSRS. This is an anonymous, voluntary, and responsive reporting channel for notifying NASA's upper management about hazards. It's meant to be used when you've tried to resolve a problem locally at your facility and you've seen no action taken, or you're not satisfied with action that was taken, or if you fear negative repercussions and prefer to bypass the local channels and come directly to us. We will help resolve your safety concern and also protect your identity in perpetuity.
The second core element is a just culture. In a just culture, people aren't punished for reporting concerns, and they're not blamed for inadvertent simple mistakes. Instead, we focus on resolving the issue. For example, suppose you're worried about an exhausted coworker who's operating complex machinery. That's just an everyday event that could be worrisome. Raise that concern. You might avert a problem or a close call. In a just culture, you and every NASA employee are responsible for conducting work and doing that work according to established rules and procedures. Use the safety training that's available to you, and if you're not sure about something, ask.
In regard to just, we want everybody to feel that this is a fair workplace, and regardless of who you are, you won't be discriminated against, you won't be reprimanded, or you shouldn't fear retribution for reporting your concerns or for even making a mistake, because we also are a learning culture, and in our learning culture, we value the knowledge that we gain from successes and our failures, and we see all of that as learning opportunities to grow.
Well, a just culture in the safety world is a blended approach, a balance between discipline and rewards. In other words, you don't want to discipline every single incident, every single occasion, whether it's a reporting or whether it's an incident. But you also don't want to reward for someone who obviously makes a lot of mistakes, or causes a lot of problems, or blatantly misses steps in procedure while performing their work. So a balance between the two is good. And one of the areas that we use here at Armstrong Flight Research Center is knock it off. We have a card that we give to all mechanics, all personnel that work around aircraft, work around in research, to be able to say, you know, I think there's a safety concern here. I don't feel right, so I'm going to call knock it off. And our center director supports it 110% with no retribution. So we can stop, we can discuss, we can explain if it is a safety problem and fix it, or that it's not a safety problem and then move forward.
The third core element of the safety culture model is flexibility. Our organization is like a rubber band. We stretch to adapt to unforeseen developments. We make changes based on new information. We expect a few bumps in the road, but that doesn't stop our work. Being flexible makes us resilient and prepares us for the unexpected. It goes without saying the work we do at NASA is unique. We explore the unexplored, and sometimes our work leads us into novel situations. To respond effectively, we have to rethink decisions and guidelines. Being flexible means we find new ways to accomplish our mission without compromising safety.
Flexible safety culture, at least in this facility, is a little unusual, a little beyond the normal scope. The Space Environments Complex has 4 facilities within the one facility under one roof. We have the vacuum chamber, which is 122 feet tall. We have the world's largest vibration shaker system. We have the second world's largest acoustic chamber and most powerful and electromagnetics facility. When we were in the middle of the design aspects of the acoustic chamber, the design actually grew. The design volume of the chamber was increased substantially, and so they wanted to make the building as tall as they possibly could and yet still fit it within this high bay height. In order to do that, the acoustic chamber was within a foot of the overhead crane, and that passes completely over the roof of the acoustic chamber. Well, a foot over the roof of the acoustic chamber means that if you were walking, which you have to do in order to put a seal plug in the ceiling, you couldn't have 3-foot or 42-inch handrails around the perimeter because the crane would bump into that. And so we tried to think of, you could use fall arrest harnesses in the typical fashion where you're overhead clipping on a wire or something, but that didn't work either because the crane has to pass through. So the safety folks and our folks and the construction team came up with this horizontal lifeline system, which actually is embedded in the ceiling, which is actually the floor that you're walking on. And you tie off on that horizontal lifeline, and it also gives you complete mobility over the entire roof area while not presenting the hazard of potentially falling off of the roof. And so that was a case where it's not really commercial off the shelf, an easy thing to do with just putting up a handrail, yet we're able to have the crane, as you see it up there, pass very closely to the roof.
The fourth core element is learning. Our history includes spectacular successes and some unforgettable failures. We need to learn from both. That's why the agency makes it a priority to collect, assess, and share information with everyone from novice to expert. We do that through a variety of resources. For example, there's the Lessons Learned Information System, or LLIS, an online tool to share and apply past knowledge to future missions. There's the NASA Engineering Network that provides valuable insight into human factors-related mishaps and near misses. There's the System Failure Case Studies. These are available online at the NASA Safety Center website. You can analyze safety events and gain insight into why it happened, what factors were present, how culture played a role, and most importantly, how you can step up to prevent an accident. Saturn, like this course, is NASA's e-training environment where you can continue your professional development. There are so many informal learning opportunities. We're a group of professionals. We learn important lessons from each other, so share your experiences and encourage others to do the same. Our future successes may depend on our previous successes and failures.
First and foremost, every employee needs to know their job. And you've got to be courageous enough or confident enough to be open to discussing how it gets done, and be open enough to discussing ways of doing it safer. If people feel confident about what they're doing and they understand the risks and they understand the hazards that they're exposed to, they're more engaged in figuring out how to reduce those hazards and reduce that risk. That's really important, first and foremost.
A good example of our learning culture here at Marshall Space Flight Center is within the development of our requirements for our ground support equipment. During the life cycle process, during our SRRs, PDRs, and CDRs, we have seen that working together as a team and working with our stakeholders, that our requirement development is very important. Not only do we see that having a safety culture during our validation and verification process, but more so during our operation process, where our requirements come to life. During the operations process, we see that we work with heavy equipment and large-scale equipment as well. And having a good safety culture will provide a safe environment for our individuals and for ourselves as we implement our requirements.
The 4 basic elements we just identified, reporting, just, flexible, and learning, are the building blocks of NASA safety culture. They're connected and reinforced by an engaged workforce. In an engaged culture, everyone, regardless of occupation or status, participates in safely accomplishing the mission. From the newest employee to the mid-level supervisor to senior leadership, everyone should actively ensure safety, walk the talk, and get involved.
I'm at the Goddard Space Flight Center, and just like all the other centers, we take a time during the year to focus on safety. We actually stand down and focus on safety for an entire week. What this does is allows the entire community to be able to participate at least 2 classes out of the 100 that we provide during the week. We're really excited about this because it's not just the safety community that helps pull this together. We have hundreds of volunteers, and everyone really focuses on safety and really participates in it, and it's really been a wonderful success for the past 5 years.
Each element in our 5-factor model is dependent on the others. One missing element puts the entire system at risk. It begins with speaking up and reporting, but no one will report safety concerns in a culture that isn't just. If no one reports their concerns, then we can't learn from our mistakes and prevent a future mishap. That means we lose an opportunity to change and adapt, to be flexible. The overall strength of our safety culture depends on everyone being engaged in promoting safe behavior. One of the ways we energize our safety culture is through the NASA Safety Culture Survey. It's a way to take the temperature of the organization. We periodically ask all employees how the 5 elements are really observed at their center. These survey results raise leaders' awareness, generate next steps, improve and reinforce safety conditions, and ultimately improve the agency's safety culture. When it's time for you to take the survey, please give your honest opinion. Your answers will help prevent mishaps and close calls and help strengthen NASA's safety culture. To learn more, go to the NASA Safety Culture website. You'll find information there like our handbook, videos, points of contact, recognition programs, and more about the Safety Culture Survey. Make the 5 elements of NASA safety culture part of your own work philosophy and help us maintain a strong safety culture at NASA.